All right. So I guess this is technically the first episode of Hammering Out Thoughts. Technically, there was an episode 0 before this, but that was more so just an intro and what this is going to be. I have a list of topics already, and I think the first one I'm going to tackle is Project 863. Have you ever been so obsessed with something that you could say it was almost like a religion of sorts? Not an actual religion, but you know what I mean. For me, if you don't know me, I guess I also make machinima content, and I'm a host of another podcast called Flying the Coop. So from my machinima content, those of you that know me from that or Flying the Coop probably know that I'm very obsessed with Red versus Blue and Star Wars. But something that I haven't really talked about, at least on any sort of public platform, is Project 863. This was something that I was super obsessed with for a good couple of years a while back. It started in, I want to say 2018 or 2019, but then it had to take a little bit of a hiatus because, the whole world kind of went into lockdown for a little bit. And so I think before lockdown hit, there had been 2 or 3 episodes or videos released within this Project 863 thing. And then I don't think I actually started watching until they started picking back up with it again after lockdown and things were starting to get back to normal. I guess I should probably explain what it is first before I start getting into the weeds of it. It's sort of an ARG, but also not really. It was this narrative that was loosely planned out start to finish, but it heavily relied on help and input from the community and the audience, whether it was waiting for us to find clues or make connections or whatever it might be. And it was made by Matthias, who you may or may not know from other channels like Dope or Nope, Team Edge, Battle Universe. If you're at all aware of like High Five Studios or Spellbound as they were later called, that's sort of what it was related to, that sort of content and storytelling company, whatever you want to call it. But anyway, Project 863 is probably one of the most unique experiences I have ever had consuming content or a story. It was very grounded, it was mysterious, it had you on the edge of your seat, and it went for a solid 3, maybe 4 years, if you include the pre-lockdown stuff. And man, I was so obsessed with this. I would get home from college and I would just sit down and look over clues and Reddit posts and come up with theories for hours and hours. And without getting into super spoilery stuff, since you should definitely go check it out, it all basically starts with them filming some YouTube video, and then a little bit later, as Matthias is going through the footage, he sees something in their ceiling of one of their buildings or offices, and it turns out it is a key with the number 863 on it. And it just turns into this, as they call it in one of the YouTube videos, a black hole. It just is a rabbit hole that keeps going and going and going. And the reason that I actually have it as one of the topics is because Project 863 ended, I want to say sometime in 2022, maybe 23, one of those. And that was basically it for at this point like 3 years, 4 years. It was this crazy thing. And then it just went away. And I feel like people had accepted that it was over. And then just out of the blue, as of me recording this like around a month ago, Matthias posted on his Instagram that the quote-unquote Key Saga, which is just another name for Project 863, would be continuing in May. And it's interesting because as obsessed as I was with Project 863, once it was over, I don't know that I ever really thought about it. I mean, I'm sure I thought about it, but like, I never talked about it with anyone. I never went back and rewatched it. It was just a couple of years of my life. And then out of the blue last month, it's like I reopened an entire part of my memory that I had, I guess, tucked away. And so as soon as I saw that, I started a rewatch of Project 863. And it's just been really interesting getting to reconnect and re-experience this thing that I was so obsessed with for the span of 3-ish years. And now I am actually rewatching it. As I'm rewatching it on my own, I'm also rewatching it and showing it to a friend who hasn't seen it yet. And so it'll be really cool and fun to, in a way, experience it again for the first time through him. It's interesting. I guess this is diverting a little bit from the original topic, but it is what it is. I'm just hammering out thoughts, as the title of the show is. It was interesting to see this development and growth of Matthias over the years, because while I haven't been a fan since like his earliest videos or anything like that, I was a fan pretty early on in the Team Edge days, which was a channel he did with his brothers for a while. You know, the kind of the stuff you saw all the time on YouTube back in the day of like challenges and all that kind of stuff, which I guess is still kind of a thing now, but it felt different back then. But it's just been interesting to see his development and his growth from doing challenge videos to then doing channels like Dope or Nope or Battle Universe, which were like product reviews and themed Nerf battles, to then this insane story and interactive experience that was Project 863. It kind of reminds me of some other creators that I have watched for years and years now. Another one that comes to mind being Markiplier, this guy who just started out with, you know, gaming videos and Try Not to Laugh and all that kind of stuff. And then over the years, he starts making things like A Heist with Markiplier, In Space with Markiplier, and then a couple of months ago, the Iron Lung movie. It's just inspiring to see what people can do, even if they aren't necessarily backed by some massive studio or production company. Kind of reminds me of Rooster Teeth in a way, too. Just these guys who, instead of playing a game like you were supposed to, decided to fool around, see what they could do, and 20-something years later, there's Red vs. Blue and Ruby and $1 Million But and Laser Team and Bloodfest and Nomad of Nowhere and all of these other podcasts that were able to split off and become their own things, all because of a silly little internet show that was only supposed to last a few episodes. I'm actually going to make a note of that now, so that a future episode of this will be talking about inspiration, my inspiration, stuff like that. Yeah, I think that's probably going to do it for this one. I guess I should probably plug my stuff in case you're stumbling upon this and don't happen to know about the other things I do. I have a YouTube channel called Hammer Machinimas where I upload machinima projects and recently started uploading Let's Plays. I'm playing through Resident Evil for the first time. As of recording this, the first 5 parts are out. By the time this comes out, maybe the first 6 are out. I'm also, as I mentioned previously, one of the hosts of the Flying the Coop podcast, which is available on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. We primarily talk about Red vs. Blue, but every now and then we branch off to other stuff. And as of me recording this, actually, we just locked in a very cool guest, but I'm not going to spoil who it is in case this comes out first. We also do gameplays and other supplementals over there. We actually, the day I'm recording this, uploaded a gameplay of that roadside research game, which was a ton of fun. Anyways, go check all that out, and I will see you next time for Hammering Out Thoughts.